Tom here, Adventure. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do another review of a headlamp or head torch. It is the LEDLENSER NEO10R, which I've just recently purchased. So I haven't had the use of it for a long period of time, but I have a pretty good experience of headlamps and know what to sort of look out for. So stay tuned to see what I think of this light. So I've been winter vinyl capping for about 25 years and have used a tremendous range of headlamps, going right back to this Silver Sprint, which I actually purchased in 2013, and it had an output of 1030 lumens, so a top-end rechargeable light. And then just some of the other lights that I've used. These are just some of my mountain biking lights. And this is an Exposure Max D, which pumps out like 3,300 lumens, so a high-end mountain bike light as well. But today we're mainly going to talk about this one, the Neo10R from LEDLENSER. It is actually designed primarily as a running headlamp, and the specific features for that would be the fact that the battery is positioned vertically as opposed to horizontally in some of their other lights. And then at the side here, you've got it's a slightly different sort of setup just to make it a little bit more comfortable. Now I'm talking about the use of the light for winter walk-ins for camping. So why did I buy a running headlamp? Well, quite simply, I just thought that would be more comfortable. And there's no doubt, personally for me, I find it's very, very comfortable and stable. Now the other feature which I probably won't really use is this sort of chest harness or strap system, which will allow you to attach the lamp to your chest. So we'll see how quickly I can actually throw this on. Just kind of gives you a wee bit of a feel for it. So this really just comes on here, and there's actually another little bit to the strap, and it straps together like this. And then I'm not going to show you that, but the light then just actually fits on here to your chest. And then you can run the cable up to your shoulder to house the sort of battery, or incidentally you actually get a longer cable with this that will allow you to sort of have the battery in your pocket. Most cyclists will cycle with a main handlebar light and then a helmet light, and I suppose that's just a bit of a similar idea for running. You can have the light here on your chest, and then you could run an additional headlamp if you want to. So there would be a number of considerations you're going to make or have to make in respect of buying a headlamp for winter camping. I'll maybe not get these in order here, but it's hard sort of doing discussions on gear. First decision is, do you want the lamp to be rechargeable? And like everything, there are a number of benefits to that, and a couple of disadvantages as well. The main benefit is the fact that you will get greater run times and higher performance from a rechargeable battery. It is also better for the environment. And these type of rechargeable batteries, which are housed here, actually work better under colder conditions. The disadvantage really, I suppose, is really just cost. But I have been running rechargeable headlamps, as I said, these guys here, 2013, and I've ran rechargeable headlamps before that. So personally for me, I actually wouldn't choose anything else. Your next consideration, I think, would be output or light power. How much do you actually need? I'm going to say 500-600 lumen is your sweet spot. Again, with my previous experience, thinking that it would be nice to light up the mountainside and have maybe 1400 or 1500 lumen, you pay the price for that with your battery in respect to the actual cost of it itself, the weight and the bulk, and it's just simply not needed. So 600 lumen is a good sweet spot, I sort of think. The programmable features on this are not the pre-programmed features, I should actually say, is that this will pump out 600 lumen on max, in around 200 lumen on medium, and I can't remember exactly what the lower setting is, but it's certainly enough for if you were sitting around the tent. The next consideration, and I think that this is crucial and maybe really, really underestimated by a lot of people, would be the run times of the light. And I like to have 5 hours of runtime, or allow 5 hours of runtime for a winter overnight. And when I say runtime, that's runtime on a decent power setting. LEDLENSER claim that this will actually run for 10 hours. Now, when you're looking at other headlamps and other competitors' headlamps, I can't see any other competitor or any headlamp anywhere that offers the same run times as what this does. But to be honest, that does make me a little bit suspicious. However, I haven't actually tested it. However, even if it only runs for half of the desired runtime, a 5 hour runtime at 600 lumen is absolutely perfect. Now, I would allow I think you should consider having a runtime of 5 hours for winter overnights, and here's why. 2 hours to begin with, to allow for your walk-in and tent setup. An hour for being in and around the tent itself. And then what I do is I always switch then to a backup. I will always have a backup head torch. I will switch to a much lighter backup head torch with less power, just for around the tent, just for comfort, and then to save power actually on my main lamp, so that I would have 2 hours again to set the tent down and walk out if I needed to in an emergency, and I know that I can get out safely because I have got a decent amount of light backup. So that's why I would allow that sort of runtime. Now, the build quality of the light itself, the switch from on to off is actually pretty good, and it cycles nicely through the different options, of light power. There's a bezel here which you can turn, and it is actually really, really stiff. To be fair, I was almost thinking of sending the light back because I couldn't get it turned whenever I bought it. But after I've used it a few times, there's no doubt that it has sort of loosened up. I did read a few other reviews where they said that this was a sort of a common thing. So now, it is starting to gradually free up, and I know it will free up, over time. And this bezel adjusts your light pattern from a spot to flood. I particularly like that because you get to choose your actual beam pattern then. Now, I'll show you that now if you want to have a look at night how the light actually performs. And we'll have a look at the different lumen outputs and the change between spot and flood. Again, this is a LEDLENSER. I've set the beam up to give a good combination between flood and spot. Running now, believe it or not, actually on 250 lumen. But you can concentrate the beam just wherever you actually want it, which is pretty good. Again, that's just a LEDLENSER on a full 600 lumen, and the beam set up to a good compromise between spot and flood. Let's just look at some of the aspects of this light itself. So I'd mentioned earlier about the bezel, so that's just to show you then the bezel going out and in, which is loosened up a little bit now, and that just adjusts your beam from spot to flood. The battery unit itself, this does click on and off quite easily. Charged here by your USB, quite a good solid connection, here with the rubber, for waterproof rating. And then this simply just twists, and out comes your battery. So this is the the 18650 3200 amp hour battery, which is quite good, and these are obviously very popular and very common. Just pops in here, line this up, seems a pretty good seal, and I must admit I'm quite impressed with that actual connection. Now, some of the other connections here, if you're wanting to use the chest harness, for example, you can just pop that out, and it's pretty solid, a bit fiddly to some extent, but there's a little bit just here, a little notch, and that gets lined up with that notch there, if you can see it, and just pops in and is very tight and secure. There is a nice smooth, adjustment here, allowing, for you to point the light more down to ground or up in the air if you need be. And then these adjustments here also just kind of come apart, so you can pop, the cable out if you need to, and again that goes back in fairly. Doing this in front of the camera here, it actually all goes in pretty well, and that's really all done. So there's nothing else much to see here. The adjustments are pretty good, and there's a reflective, you won't be able to see it here, but there is a reflective strip just where my finger is just running there alongside the LEDLENSER sign. Really, just to summarise, I certainly think this headlamp is perfect for winter walk-ins. It has the right amount of power, the right amount of run times, and I think that when you can control the beam itself or the light output pattern in respect of spot and flood, you've got exactly the amount of light where you want it, and I think that actually helps the efficiency. Whereas other headlamps will maybe just dump out the power. This, for example, this exposure light, it has a great spread of light, but the actual throw or the spot isn't fantastic, whereas it's nice on this that you can actually control it. So I think it's a great value. They retail around about £90. I think it's pretty well made. I think it's well designed. It's quite modular, with the likes of this, and the fact that you can set it up with, if you need to, with your chest harness, specifically designed, as I said, with as a running lamp. The run times are fantastic. The Lumen Output, I think, is just about right. Build quality, apart from the thickness of the bezel, I think is absolutely fine, and great value and perfect. As I'm using this, if I find that there are any issues with it, I'll certainly report them or do an updated discussion. As I said earlier on, hard for me to review this because I haven't really had it for that length of time, but I've a good experience with other headlamps. I kind of know what I'm looking for. So thank you for watching. If you like my reviews, please subscribe to my channel. Like, share and comment would be great as well. I'm always interested in comments because like all of us, I'm interested in learning, and you learn, I think, quite well from impartial user reviews. So look, thank you very much.